Hey, Trail Kreitzer at goHUNT. We're back again for gear lists going into the 2021 season. This is going to be my backcountry elk hunting list of gear that I'm going to be using this fall. I got a big bull here hanging out next to me that I killed in Wyoming just to give me good vibes so that I can take good energy going into 2021. I've got a couple of permits this year. I've got a general Idaho elk tag that I picked up on that December 1st mess. And then I've also got a big game combo in Montana. So Chris Neville and I are going to be chasing big bulls in Montana. So I'm just going to jump in and run through my list. If you guys have questions, drop them in the comments below. If you have suggestions that you'd like to see in our goHUNT gear shop, please drop those in there as well. We'd love to hear what you guys are going to be using this fall. And we'd love to include more stuff in our gear shop that you guys dig. So I'm just going to jump in first to my sleep system, starting over here on the right. I'm going to move across the table all the way through my Matthews V3, which I'll touch on here in a bit. So the first good piece to any backpack hunter's backcountry gear hunting list is going to be your backpack, obviously. So this is going to be the backpack that I'm using this fall, which is a Stone Glacier Sky 6400. It's about the right size to hunt, 6 to 8 days, which is probably going to end up being, what I do in it. I may do a couple 5-day jaunts just to see how it goes and then switch areas if I have to. But this is a really nice size backpack for backpack hunting. I'm really excited about using this pack this year. I've used the X-Curve frame. This will be the first year I'm using the Sky Archer 6400 pack. So that's going to be my choice for a backpack this fall. Moving into my sleeping bag. This is going to be my option for this year. I've used it before. I continue to love it. This is the Western Mountaineering Alpine sleeping bag. It's a 20-degree bag. It is a great cut for me. It's wide enough through the shoulders that I don't feel constricted. Is that the word I'm looking for? Constricted. It's wide enough through the shoulders that I don't feel claustrophobic. Again, 20-degree bag, 1 pound, 15 ounces for the regular, 2 pounds for the long version. This is one of my very favorite sleeping bags. Once again, it's the Western Mountaineering Alpine Light. So moving into the rest of my sleep system, I have been a big proponent of bivy sack hunting for elk. I like to keep a mobile camp, everything on my back first thing in the morning. I like to stay with those elk herds. I like to hunt actively on my back. Ever since I started doing that, I feel like I've been more effective with my bow every September. So I do carry a bivy sack. My sleep system is very mobile. Most of the times I don't set up a tarp or a tent at night. A lot of the times I'll just throw my sleeping pad, my bag inside my bivy sack, and I'm in bed in 5 minutes and I'm out of camp in the morning just as quick. So I do use a bivy. My bivy that I started using last year that I really like is this Hilleberg Bavana rack. The thing I like about it is that it's roomy enough that I can fit both my sleeping pad and my bag in this. It actually has sleeves built in it. It's got a closed bottom here with a draw cord that you can open up for a little more breathability, so you don't get the condensation that you get in some of the other bivy sacks, which is a nice feature of this one. So if my regular rain gear fails, I can always use this Bavana rack as a backup piece of rain gear and emergency shelter. So I love this little Hilleberg Bavana rack. It's a no-brainer for me. It's going into the field with me for sure this fall. Moving into the rest of my sleep system, I always carry a pillow. This is a Sea to Summit Aerolite pillow. You can see this one's a little bit dirty. I probably ought to throw it in the wash, but it's a very simple pillow. I didn't always use a pillow. I used to just take my down jacket and stuff it in a stuff sack, and I would use that for my pillow, but I found that just by carrying a pillow, I sleep a whole lot better. It's less than 2 ounces. It's relatively lightweight, so I don't mind throwing that little Sea to Summit Aerolite pillow in my backpack, and I always take that thing with me from now on. Next item in my pack is going to be my sleeping pad. This has been a staple for me for probably the last 7 or 8 years. The Neo Air X Lite is really lightweight. It's 1 pound. For this version, it's 25 inches wide, 77 inches long. So it's big enough that it can fit my frame at 6'2". My arms aren't hanging off the sides, which I really like. This has been a staple in my backpack for the last 7 years or so, which I love this sleeping pad. Moving into a shelter, this is the Seek Outside. I've got a Seek Outside t-shirt, look at that. Seek Outside EOLess tent. This is the Dyneema version of this tent. So this is a really nice little shelter, really lightweight, big enough for 2 people. It's a palace for 1 guy and all my equipment and my bow. It pitches really quickly. All I need to pitch this thing is the guy outlines and some tent stakes. I'm going to touch on the tent stakes that I use, but I love this little Seek Outside EOLess tent. As I said, I carry some tent stakes to pitch that little EOLess tent. The tent stakes that I use are these little MSR needle stakes. I don't think that they make those anymore, but if you can pick those up, those are great little tent stakes. They weigh next to nothing. I mean, these are super lightweight. I found them to be relatively durable. I haven't had any really issues with them bending or breaking. These are my favorite tent stakes, and I'll typically take about 10 or so to pitch that eelless tent. What I'm ultimately looking for in a sleep system is mobility. I want to be in bed quick at night. I want to be up and fully packed and ready to go very quickly in the morning. I don't actually use this eelless tent all that much. I'll only pitch that if it looks like it's going to rain. So this last year in Colorado, I maybe only used it 2 nights when we did get some rain. Other than that, I'm just using the bivy sack, my sleeping bag, and my pad. It allows me to sleep in very small locations. So there's been times where I've kicked out an elk bed or a deer bed on the side of a steep slope. That's all the space I need to sleep at night. Moving over to my clothing system, I'm going to touch on the boots I'm going to be wearing this year first. This is the Hanwag Makra Trek. They make the Makra Combi. This is the Makra Trek version of this boot. It's a little bit more flexible. It's lightweight. It's a synthetic leather blend. This has been a great boot for me. I've been using it all summer. I think it's going to make a great early season elk hunting boot. Nice and breathable and lightweight. Moving into the rest of my clothing system, I'm going to start out with my base layers. So this is a Sitka Core Crew long sleeve, just a long sleeve version of their lightweight base layer. Over the top of that, I'll typically run a Sitka Core lightweight hoodie. Core lightweight hoodie is one of my very favorite pieces. It's got the built-in chest pocket, it's got the built-in face mask, and again, it's got the hood to keep the sun off your neck if you want to wear that midday. Underwear. So my underwear that I'm going to be using for this is the Sitka Core Merino, lightweight. It's kind of a boxer brief. You can see it's a little bit longer, which I like. That's a nice breathable piece, works really well for me. I've had great luck with those merino boxers. All right, moving into the socks I'm going to end up wearing. This is the Darn Tough Cool Max sock. We sell these in the gear shop. These breathe really well. They're a nice weight. They're a full cushion sock, so you've got nice cushion underneath from heel to toe. I really like these, and that'll be my choice for this year. It's that Darn Tough Cool Max sock. Moving into more of my mid layers, one of the staples in my elk hunting gear list has always been and will continue to be the Core Heavyweight hoodie. So it's got a hoodie, it's a 1/4 zip. Again, you have the pocket here in the front. You've got loops for your thumbs. If you need to keep your sleeves down while you're putting on a jacket, this is one of my very favorite Sitka pieces. I would say if you're looking to build a Sitka system, this is absolutely a piece I suggest that you pick up. Once again, that's the Sitka Core Heavyweight hoodie. Moving into the pants selection, this is my very favorite early season mule deer or elk hunting pant. In fact, this is probably one of my favorite pants all around. This is the Sitka Apex pant. The Apex pant has a really nice fit. One thing about a pair of pants that is particularly important to me is the way the pant fits. This has a nice athletic fit. It's not too roomy through the ankle. There's not a bunch of excess material. I really, really sincerely like the fit of this Apex pant. The Apex pant is a really nice weight. It's heavy enough that you can do some early season high country hunting without being too hot and overheating. But it's also heavyweight enough that it actually gives you some warmth on those cold mornings and evenings. It's got kind of a raised micro fleece backing to it. Again, it's got some knee pads, which I really like about a pair of pants. Once again, this is the Sitka Apex pant, and this is my favorite pant from Sitka, hands down. I always pack a pair of gloves. So this is the Sitka Traverse glove. It's a relatively lightweight glove for early season hunting. It's just going to kind of take the sting off in the morning and the evening, especially when you're carrying around a bow and it's cold. So that's my favorite glove. That's the Sitka Traverse glove. All right, moving into my insulation layers. This is the Sitka Kelvin Light Down hoodie. This has been a great jacket for me. This was new for them last year. Very lightweight, puffy jacket. It fits in a very small container inside your pack. Doesn't take up any space. Makes a great piece for those early mornings and evenings in camp. Rain gear, I do pack some rain gear, especially this year with this new piece from Sitka. This is the Sitka Dew Point jacket. Really lightweight Gore-Tex jacket. A lot of the times when you're hunting elk, you might get those high country rain showers, especially in the afternoon. Those bulls may still be rolling, bugling and moving with the cows and calves. It's nice to have a good lightweight packable piece of rain gear to be able to hunt even during the day when it is raining. I can think of a hunt in New Mexico I went on where it poured rain all morning long. I chased this herd of elk and ended up killing a nice bull mid-afternoon after the rain had kind of lifted, but wouldn't have been able to do that and remain comfortable without a good packable lightweight piece of rain gear like the Dew Point. And once again, the Dew Point pant, complementary to the Dew Point jacket. Moving into the optic setup that I'm going to end up taking elk hunting. A lot of people might consider an optics, a primary component for an archery elk hunt, especially if you're bugling and you're cow calling, you're trying to call a bull into you. I have found in certain areas that the country is open enough, especially if you're hunting early season, optics can become that much more important because you can end up doing a lot of glassing. A spotting scope is a nice piece of equipment to take with you, especially early season if you're spot and stock hunting. If you're trying to find a bull to maybe hunt over a wall or water, optics can come in really handy. The country I'm going to be hunting in, Idaho, is more open. For spotting scope, this is a Swarovski ATS, I believe. It's the HD, it's the older version. It's not the new one with the objective that disconnects, but it's an older version. Still a really nice piece of glass. This is a 65 millimeter version of that spotting scope. It's lightweight enough that I can justify packing it in my backpack. You bump up to an 85 or even a 90, that might be more weight that I'm comfortable in taking on an elk hunt, especially backpack archery elk hunt. I've got it in an Outdoor Vision Swarovski case just to keep that thing protected. You invest good money into your optics, so it's always nice to take a piece of equipment to keep that thing clean and dry. My binocular setup. This year I'm changing things up a little bit. I'm going to give this Stone Glacier binocular harness a try. I've been using it this summer just up at the archery range shooting my bow. I actually found that I really, really like it. One of the things I like a lot about it is just the weight. It's really super lightweight. It's real simple to use. It's just got an up and over component. I like the fact that when you do open the lid, that the lid itself stays close to the body of it, so there's no, nothing projecting out away from it. That's a nice little addition of this bino harness. It's got rooms for your calls on the sides, and you also have a little pocket for your phone here in the back if you want to tuck that in behind it. For binoculars, I'm going to use my trusty Leica Noctavid 10x42s. 10x42 is an all-around good Western big game magnification for a set of binoculars. I would say if you're looking for a set of binos to hunt mule deer, antelope, elk, 10x42 is a staple in my bino harness all the time. For a rangefinder, once again, even though I missed a bull last year, I feel like due to this rangefinder, I don't have an extra $400 to put into a new one, so I'm going to end up using this one again, which is the Rangemaster 1000R. This is an old rangefinder from Leica. If I were looking to buy one from the goHUNT gear shop right now, I would look at the Leica Rangemaster 2400. It's comparable in price to what I paid for this back in the day. I would also highly suggest the Leupold Full Draw 4, especially if you are a bow hunter. It does the angle compensation. You can input your arrow speed, all the configurations of your bow, and it actually gives a really nice, accurate readout for those angled shots. Like I said, I don't have the money right now to put into a new rangefinder. If I did, it would probably be that Full Draw 4 from Leupold. Once again, going back to carrying a spotting scope, I am going to carry a tripod. The tripod setup I'm using is a pair of Surrey legs. Again, it's the T1204XL. This leg has been discontinued. I'm in the process of getting some new legs, but I'm waiting for those to come in. It's a new set of legs from Surrey. I think you guys are going to dig those once those show up in the shop. I also am using the Surrey VA5 head, which you can see here on top of that tripod. It's a great tripod setup, relatively lightweight but super stable. In conjunction with that, early season again, I like to do a lot of glassing. I'm going to end up using my binoculars quite a bit mounted to my tripod. This thing here is a Leica Stablite binocular tripod adapter. It doesn't weigh much. It's less than 5 ounces. It's relatively easy to just pop your binoculars on and off and sits on top of your tripod. Also, interestingly, I've used this quite a bit for field photos. So I hunt a lot by myself. And, there are times when I've been able to use my camera, set that thing up on this little Stablite tripod adapter and take some field photos, which is great if you're hunting alone. All right, moving more into some of the items I carry that are related to my optic system. Obviously, one being my iPhone 12. I've got a binocular or a spotting scope adapter on that so that I can digiscope and take photos through that. This is the phone cam by Tines Up. We also carry the phone scope. Options of those in our gear shop. Those are great little additions to your pack, especially if you want to do some filming through your spotting scope. So I'll always have that. One thing I would note on my phone here, I've got the new goHUNT maps downloaded. You can download maps offline. It's perfect for navigation in the backcountry. I would highly suggest you all check that out. Available now in the Google Play or Apple Store?
Apple App Store.
Apple App Store. Apple App. That's available now in the App Store on your phone, so you want to check that out. Along with my binocular harness, I've always got some wind checker. So this is just your basic run-of-the-mill wind checker. You got to have that. You cannot beat an elk's nose. You can beat its eyes sometimes, you beat its ears, but you cannot beat an elk's nose. So you got to have some wind checker. Always play the wind. One little piece of equipment I probably didn't touch on that goes along with my pack is just a rain pack cover. This is a Mystery Ranch rain flag. Goes over my backpack. Very easy and lightweight to deploy. All right, moving into some of the other pieces of equipment that I carry. Going along with my shelter system, this is a couple of trekking poles. This is the Black Diamond Alpine Carbon Cork. We sell these in the gear shop. Obviously, when you buy yours, you're gonna get them as a set. They will look alike. This is actually a pole from 2 different sets. I have a bad case of getting excited and hunting elk or Sitka blacktail deer, ditching one of my trekking poles and then not being able to find it again. So I'm using one pole from 2 different sets that I've bought over the years. That Black Diamond Alpine Carbon Cork is our best-selling pole in the gear shop. It is by far my favorite trekking pole. I highly recommend that trekking pole if you're looking for a set. All right, moving into some of my other gear that I carry in my backpack. I organize that gear in my pack and some sil nylon sacks, including a kill kit, which is gonna have my knives, my game bags, some rope, a backup headlamp, and then the rest of my gear, some of the things that I carry, like a headlamp, some rope, my fire starter kit, my med kit, those kinds of things I carry in another sil nylon sack, and I'll show you those here in a sec. Moving kind of into hydration and camp kitchen. I'll touch on camp kitchen first. So I'm a relatively simple person when it comes to backcountry food and systems. I've got kind of the food that I eat, and we can do another video on like our individual food systems. I'll certainly do one on mine. I typically pack one Mountain House or Peak Refuel or Heather's Choice meal for every day, every evening. And in order to do so, you have to have some sort of stove system to heat your water up so that you can rehydrate those meals. For a canister to heat my water up, I use a Seek Outside bale handle mug. This is a titanium mug. One thing I like about this one is it's got this little bale handle. There have been times when I ran out of fuel in the backcountry. The thing I like about this is I can hang this from a stick over an open fire and I can still boil water, which I have done, which is why mine is so discolored, as you see here. But once again, that's a Seek Outside bale handle mug, titanium, super lightweight. For a stove, I've always been a proponent of just a simple, lightweight, packable stove. It saves me weight, which I like, and it works great. So this is a Soto Windmaster stove with the 4Flex platform that just pops onto the top of that. It's very simple, very lightweight. Everything fits inside the container in one little system. Moving into water, I always pack these little Aqua Mira. I always pack these little Aqua Mira 2-part drops to purify my water. This is a very easy product to use. You just add the number of drops of each one of those to your water source. You just wait 20 minutes for it to kill all the bugs inside it, and then you're good to go. I will also typically pack these little Aqua tabs as a backup. These weigh nothing. And if you absolutely needed these in a pinch, you could throw those in your water and also purify it. I'm not going to pack a filter per se. There is enough running water in the areas that I'm going to end up hunting that I don't really feel like I need to filter the water. For the most part, I have good, clean running water. The thing that I'm most worried about is just purifying it, which is why I'm going to pack these Aqua Mira drops or these tabs. So no filter, just drops or tabs for me this year. If you're hunting more arid areas where water is very limited, you're going to end up maybe having to get water out of some really questionable sources like a wallow or something like that. You may want to pack a filter in addition to some purifying tabs or drops. For a water bladder, I still like a water bladder. I'm using the Platypus Big Zip 3 liter. I really like that water bladder. The one thing I like about having a bladder is that I always have the opportunity to get a drink. It keeps me hydrated throughout the day versus carrying a water bottle. If I carry a water bottle, I don't tend to drink all that often. It feels like I'm on the go a lot. I don't stop to take a drink and I can't get dehydrated. So I like a bladder because I can continually take a drink throughout the day and I feel like I stay more hydrated with one of those. I do carry a backup water bottle. This is just a little Platypus 1 liter plastic bottle. A lot of the times when I stop at a water source, I will fill this up, and I use this most often for just rehydrating my meals at night. And finally, kind of rounding out my camp kitchen hydration setup, you cannot forget a spoon or a spork. This is just an MSR fold out spork. You can see it folds down, very small size, it's super lightweight. That thing just tucks inside the bail handle mug here along with my stove. You gotta have a spork. All right, I'm gonna move into some of my kill kit components that I keep inside this little sil nylon sack that composes my kill kit. I use the Caribou Gear carnivore game bags. They come in a 5-bag set. 4 of the larger bags like this one. You can see that's the Carnivore 3. That's the size of the larger bag, and then will also come with a smaller one that is for loose meat. I feel like personally this is just about the right size for a game bag, especially if you're hunting elk in the backcountry, because you end up mostly boning those bulls out anyway and throwing that into a game bag. So I really like that. I've got 5 of them here, like I said, so 4 game bags of this size and then 1 smaller one for backstraps, tenderloins, and any loose meat that I've got. All right, moving into the other pieces and components of my kill kit, I'm going to touch on the knives that I prefer. This is the Goat Capra knife. It's a replaceable blade knife. One great thing about this knife in particular is you've got those little internal Allen wrench bits that sit within the handle. You also have a piece here on the end that you can slide those in, and should you get yourself into a pinch in the field and break a release or a sight on your bow or something loosens up, you can use these bits to tighten those components up. I've got 2 bits in here that correlate with the sizes to my rest and my sight. That's a great little feature of this Goat Capra knife. You can see you also have a good hunk of extra cord there that can come in handy if a D-loop breaks, or if you have any other issues that you need some cord for. I do carry 2 knives. I like a fixed blade knife for cutting joints. You know, anytime that you've got some real heavy duty work to do where maybe a replaceable blade knife doesn't feel like enough, I like to carry a fixed blade knife. Going right along with that, I like this Goat carbon knife. I'm trying not to cut my finger off. I like this Goat carbon knife. You can see it's got the carbon inlay in the handle. You can replace this knife and actually put a skinner on it, one that's more shaped for skinning. I actually like this little shape that you can see here. You can see that's a great little knife. I cleaned a coos deer this last January with this thing. I was so impressed with how sharp and the blade retention sharpness that this thing kept. So this is going into my backpack with me for sure this year. Once again, that's a Goat carbon knife. I always carry some extra replaceable blades for that Goat Capra knife. I've got 3 of those. Those are just your typical Havalon 60A replacement blades. Those work great with that knife. I always carry some cord in my kill kit. This cord is super lightweight. It's also very strong. One other thing about this cord that's unique is that it's slick. So this is the Z-Pax slick line from Z-Pax. It's super slick, super strong. The thing I like about the feel of this is it doesn't bind up on branches. When you pull that thing up and over, sometimes you can get cord that, you know, binds and breaks and frays, especially when you're looking at paracord. This stuff does not do that, and it's super strong. So I always carry this with me in my kill kit. That's Z-Pax slick line. Kind of the last component, last couple components I will say that I always carry in my kill kit. I always carry a backup headlamp just in case. It's a great little piece to have in your pack or in your kill kit. This thing weighs almost nothing. It's only 50 lumens, but it doesn't weigh anything at all. This is the Petzl E-Lite Plus. It's a very small little headlamp, which I love, and the battery life on this thing is phenomenal. That's a great little backup headlamp for your backpack. The final piece to the kill kit, the Outdoor Edge Grizz saw. I'll typically carry this saw in my kill kit. I use it for skull capping or cutting off leg joints if I have to. I've also used it quite a bit to clear branches if I need to clear a shooting lane, especially if I end up sitting on a wall or a water source. That's a great little packable lightweight saw. Once again, it's the Outdoor Edge Grizz saw. All right, one question I always get asked is, what do I take into the field for a power source? It depends ultimately on how long I'm going to be out. If I'm going to be out 10 days, and I've done that, certainly long 10, 12-day hunts on my own, in those cases, I do like to take a solar charger. So this is the Nomad 7 Plus by goZero. I do like a solar charger because it's a great option that I know will always work. I can always use this thing to generate some power if I get myself in a pinch and I need some energy for either my DeLorme, my inReach, or my phone. So I do pack that, especially on longer hunts. If I'm not going to be gone as long and I maybe only need to charge my phone once, I will pack an external battery pack. This is just a simple battery pack that I picked up at my local Walmart. We do sell the Poseidon energy packs from Dark Energy in our gear shop. Those are great packs. goZero has a bunch of external power battery packs that we sell in the shop as well. The Venture 70 is another excellent option. If you're looking to put your money into gear and equipment, for me, a power source is not something that I value as highly something as I do like optics. So, you spend your money where it makes sense for you. For me, it's in other areas than it is for power source. My primary headlamp that I use is the Black Diamond Storm. This is a really nice, bright headlamp. Good battery life. I've had good luck with that thing, and so it continues to go with me into the woods. Once again, it's a Black Diamond Storm headlamp. My fire starter kit is relatively simple. I carry some of these wet fire cubes by UST. Those work great in a pinch and you need to get a fire started. I do also carry some waterproof matches. I'll typically have 10 to 15 of those if I need to help get a fire started. I also will carry a Bic lighter. I'll check that periodically just to make sure that thing works, especially before you head into the woods. It's always a good idea to check those to make sure that they're working, especially the lighter, because you could get yourself into a pinch and need that lighter. I do carry some backup batteries for my headlamp, so that's just some AAAs for my headlamp. Moving into a satellite communicator. This is my old trusty DeLorme inReach SE. This is the old version. Obviously, these have been updated, bought by Garmin, so you have several choices at this point, including the Garmin inReach Mini, the Garmin Explorer Plus. You also have some of the newer ones like the 66i that have the aerial imagery, the GPS, everything that you want, as well as the satellite communicator. Those are great options. We also have the brand new Zoleo, which is an even more economical version of a satellite messenger. It doesn't have some of the features that the inReaches do, but it's still a nice option for you to keep in touch and make sure that, should something really bad happen, that you've got some way to communicate. The last couple things I'm going to touch on from my gear list, travel toothbrush and some toothpaste. So that's just your simple travel toothbrush. You can pick one of those up at your local Walgreens or Walmart, and a small pack of toothpaste. I used to squeeze some of that toothpaste out like in a wax paper and fold it over and use that. At this point, I can't be bothered too much, and I just pack a travel size of toothpaste. It's funny, I've hunted with guys that, they don't pack a toothbrush or toothbrush. I can tell you that like the simple pleasure of being able to brush your teeth is a much needed morale lift in the backcountry when you're backpacking. So that's a good tip. Pack a toothbrush, pack some toothpaste. For a medical kit, I'm just going to touch on it real briefly, and I probably won't pull all of these individual parts and pieces out. So in my medical kit, there's a few things that I always carry with me. Just some ibuprofen, some migraine medicine, like a Tylenol, extra strength. I always take some cold medicine, so some nighttime and daytime, just in case I need that. I carry a very small suture kit in case things got really nasty and I had to stitch something up. I carry some large butterfly bandages, some small bandages. You know, there's a few other things in there mixed in. You know, some Imodium AD, just in case you have a bad issue, stomach issue. But there's some bits and bobs in that. And we'll do a full list in an article as well if you want to see what's inside my medical kit. All right, so for elk calls, I don't carry a ton of elk calls, but I would suggest that you carry a few. This is a Rocky Mountain game called Bully Bull Bugle. I use that just simply to locate a bull. A lot of the times I'll just hit a drainage, you know, send out a bugle, see what responds, and then I'll use those audible cues to either sneak in and use a cow call or just sneak in quietly. I'm not a big bugler. I do use one though to locate bulls. In addition to that, I'll use some diaphragm elk calls. I've got a couple of here that are my favorite. This is the Rocky Mountain Game Calls, Black Magic and the Reaper. I also have a couple of Phelps calls. I really like the Maverick call, which is the red one. You can get all three of those on our goHUNT gear shop. I do carry an external cow elk call, and this is probably my very favorite cow elk call of all of them. This is the Phelps Easy Estrus, which is an external cow elk call. I use this one quite a lot, so that's one I always go into the woods with. All right, I have a few more items to touch on before I talk about my bow setup. One of them is this little Thermarest Z seat. This is just a simple glassing pad. The other thing that you can use this for, and I do all the time, is just a doormat for your tent or your bivvy. It's a great option to be able to stand on that, you know, take your boots off, take your socks off, and get in bed. It's also nice at night. If you have to get up and take a leak, you can just stand on that and you don't have to worry about putting your boots back on. So that's a great little option for everybody, and you should have one of these in your pack. All right, finally moving on to my weapon. You know, I love this bow. This is my baby. This is a Matthews V3 in the ambush riser and then the subalpine camo limbs. For strings, I've got some Buck Slayer bow strings. I love those things. You know, unfortunately, I think he's taken another route in life and is no longer making bow strings, but man, I love those. For a sight, I'm shooting a Excel AccuStat Pro on the carbon bar. It's got the AccuStat 2 sight, so it's a 5-pin slider sight. I like a 5-pin sight for elk hunting. There are so many times when you may be calling a bull or working a bull, and he might go from 80 to 60 to 20 and back to 60 before you actually get a shot. And I don't want to have to be messing with the slider portion of my sight, which you would have to do if you were shooting like a 2-pin or a single-pin sight. I really like a 5-pin sight. I like to take as much of the guessing game out of that as I possibly can in the moment. I'm prone to like my mind melting when an elk comes in, and so I love having 5 set pins that I know the exact yardage is 20 to 60, so I shoot a 5-pin sight. For stabilizer setup this year, I'm mixing it up a little bit. This is a new set of stabilizers for me. This is the AAE Mountain Light series. This is a carbon bar. I've got 4 ounces of weight on the front on a 15-inch front bar. For a back bar, I'm shooting a 12-inch, same stabilizer, that AAE Mountain Light series, with 9 or 10 ounces, I think, of weight on that back bar, and that's a 12-inch back bar. For a back bar side bracket, this is the Matthews sidebar bracket made by Shrewd. It's the Shrewd Atlas if you're looking for it elsewhere. I love this little back bar bracket. It's been a great addition to my bow. Some of the other little details about my bow that I get asked about from time to time. You can see I've got a little arrow holder here on the riser. You can get those from Hamskea. Hamskea makes those that you can put right there on your shelf. That's a great little feature. It just locks your arrow in, so your arrow's not going to jump off your, your riser if you're kind of walking around and moving around with it a little bit. For a rest, I'm still using, I just can't get away from the thing. I absolutely love it. It's a Trophy Taker Smackdown Pro, which is a limb-driven drop-away. I do have one of the older versions that has the pronghorn launcher with the crash pad here for sound vibration. This is just my favorite rest, and it's one that I've had. I think I've got 3 of them, and I keep lumping along, moving them into each and every bow I use every year, but I love that rest. Maybe this year might be the year I'll try something new. I've tried other rests, but I just keep going back to this one, but it might be the year to finally make the jump. All right, moving on to the arrows I'm going to be shooting. This is my all-time favorite arrow. This is a Gold Tip Kinetic Platinum Pierce. I am shooting AAE Max Stealth vanes this year. This is a longer vane that I've shot in years past. And I've got these cool little goHUNT custom designs on those, and then also goHUNT custom wraps. So that's brand new for our goHUNT gear shop. I just shoot the standard bulldog collars on the end here with the regular nocks that come with these arrows. I also shoot just the standard gold tip components. So this is just the collar that comes with this set of arrows when you buy those. I don't add any extra weight. I am still personally shooting 100 grain broadheads. This is one of my very favorite heads, and a head that I'm going to use this year once again. This is a Slick Trick standard 4-blade. They also make this in a stainless steel pro model this year, so I may end up having to pick up some of those where those are solid stainless steel. It's a great looking broadhead. These broadheads fly phenomenally. They do really well. I've kind of ping-ponged back and forth between the QADs, the Slick Tricks, and a few others over the last few years. I've been doing a little bit of playing early on this summer, and I think I'll probably end up going back and using the Slick Trick 4-blade standards. They fly great, tons of penetration. I've always had great luck with the Slick Trick broadhead. I get asked quite a bit about my total arrow weight and the FOC. FOC, I'm not quite sure. I think it's probably around 12.5, 13%, somewhere in that neighborhood. But I know it's somewhere between 10 and 13. I don't worry too much about that. I know that my overall arrow weight is about 456 grains. I feel like that's a good all-around weight for elk hunting, deer hunting, and also antelope hunting, which is nice because you can use that same arrow setup across all three species. It carries enough punch that I don't feel like I have any issues when I'm hunting elk. And I also like the speed that I get out of these arrows. So, speed's important, penetration is important, accuracy is important. Those are all things you have to take into consideration when getting an arrow set up. For me personally, I've landed on about that 460 grain range for a finished arrow weight for elk, antelope, and deer. All right, and the last couple components of my gear list for this year, I have a tight spot quiver. I've been using that quiver for a bunch of years. I love that thing. I love the fact that I can disconnect it very quickly. If I want to run that on the side of my pack, I can do so. I can also put that on the side of my bow. It stays nice and tight to the riser, which I like. Tight Spot makes a phenomenal product, and it's a great group of dudes. So I love Tight Spot quivers, and I'll be using that once again. Finally, and like the very last components of my whole setup for my 2021 gear list, is my releases. So these are my trusted releases. I typically pack one as an extra in my backpack just in case I was to lose one. I've always got a backup. So my two favorite releases, this has been my go-to for a bunch of years. This is the TrueBall HT Pro. It's the brass version. It's a hot tension, so it's a back tension release. I've always shot a back tension release for about the last 9 or 10 years, even for hunting. And we could talk more about that, but I've done it a bunch, so I won't. And my backup release is also a TrueBall. This is the TrueBall Fulcrum Flex in a 3-finger. It also comes with a 4-finger component if you want that. For whatever reasons, I've been shooting this one in a 3-finger configuration. So those are my two releases. I always pack those, one in the hip belt of my backpack, so I've always got a backup, and then one in my front pocket as I'm hunting. So once again, that's the TrueBall HT Pro and the TrueBall Fulcrum Flex. So that's pretty much it. If you have questions or comments, drop those below. I'd love to hear any comments you have about my gear list or any suggestions that you guys would like to see added to the goHUNT gear shop. It's hard to believe that it's time to go elk hunting almost. I personally cannot wait to get back out into the elk woods. Good luck to everybody out there. Once again, get your gear, get going, and let's go elk hunting in 2021.